Whoosh. MMA, mixed martial arts, limited in techniques. So I got a comment, yesterday, I believe, and I did a review on UFC Fight Night 98. So this person commented on the video saying that the technique is not limited in MMA. The rules and metagame are completely different. Just because boxing looks cleaner doesn't mean it has more technique. So I guess the person didn't understand what I was talking about in the video, right? Let's break down what MMA is. Well, as today, they're promoting MMA as a style by itself, right? So it's like a discipline by itself, right? Where MMA is mixed martial arts, but the way how I see MMA is a variety of different martial art styles combined into one. So, you have the ground, you have the striking. So you're dealing with a variety of different styles, different aspects from could be wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, taekwondo, and so forth. So in all that, a lot of times, as I said, they're branding MMA as a style by itself. So when you go into MMA, the way how they have it now, you just learn, a couple of Muay Thai movements. You learn how to defend the takedown, but they combine all that. So the way how I learn is that, you have your foundation. So you could be from a karate background, you could be from a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, and you would perfect that one art, that one style for years. Then you move on to a next one. That is mixed martial arts too. You're learning more than one martial art style. So in all that, MMA, mixed martial arts, you have boxing in there also, because it's a striking sport, striking art, right? So if you're comparing boxing from MMA to boxing by itself as a sport, like Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, in MMA, there's a little bit of adjustment that you have to make for that sport because you can get taken down, because there's ground game also, so you have to do a little bit of adjustment. But as far as the defensive, offensive techniques, it's gonna be very similar, if not the same, to the sport, the game of boxing. Where you can slip the punches, you can bob and weave, you can, avoid taking damage, right? You're not just walking into punches and getting hit, or you know how to throw a proper jab, proper or straight, proper hook. You just know how to counter the techniques where it doesn't look sloppy and you avoid taking damage. That's what I'm talking about. It's not the fact that that boxing, the sport by itself, has better technique than MMA. That's not it. It's the fact that you have guys that are in MMA, the sport, that are lacking the proper striking techniques. So when they do compete, it looks sloppy and they're taking too much damage. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that they're lacking, that the whole game itself is lacking technique, because there are guys in MMA who have proper technique, right? Like I always name a few: Stephen Thompson, Conor McGregor, Dominic Cruz, just to name a few, right? That you could tell, when punches are being thrown at them, they're slipping the punches, they're countering, they avoid getting hits, and they're on offense and defense with footwork movement, right? So I'm not saying that MMA is lacking technique, because that doesn't make any sense. It's mixed martial arts. It's a combination of all different type of martial art skills, striking techniques, right? From the ground, stand up, right? Elbow, knees. You have submissions, wrestling, Muay Thai, capoeira, karate, kung fu, name it. Once you start blending martial arts styles, striking techniques together, you have your mixed martial arts. And as I mentioned, they're promoting MMA as a style by itself. So in that MMA, you will learn all these techniques that you see in the cage, But you have to understand that MMA is a sport, it's a game. Martial arts like karate, kung fu, taekwondo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, judo, those are self-defense martial arts styles, right? And that's why you see when somebody has a good steady foundation, like they might train like taekwondo or karate or kung fu for years or Brazilian jiu-jitsu for years, they have a good base. So whenever they're moving to any other style and other techniques to learn, they grasp the concept easier because they're already coming from a steady foundation, you know, from whatever martial arts style they studied for years. You know, nowadays I said the branded MMA as a style by itself, so you're picking up techniques very quickly, so you don't spend too long on any specific style or technique. So you end up not grasping the concept properly. So that's why it looks sloppy, you know, when you're in the cage. You know, some fighters don't really grasp it as good. As I said, MMA is a style by itself, martial arts styles are by itself, right? But it all depends on the person because everybody pick up techniques, styles differently. Some people can adapt to certain things quicker. You know, some people take a longer time to adapt. So it's not the style, it's the person. So you have all these MMA or martial art techniques out there, different styles, but at the end of the day, it's just the person. You know, how much work you put into it. Can you adapt to those techniques quick enough? Have you been training martial arts for years where you have a strong foundation, understanding of the martial arts? So when you do move into any other striking technique, boxing, kickboxing, you grasp the concept easier because you already have the foundation, you already have the balanced form and the discipline to pick up any other style, technique, striking technique easily, right? So yeah, I mean, MMA is not lacking any technique. That doesn't make any sense, right? I'm not comparing, you know, boxing, the sport, to MMA because it's two different kind of sports, two different kind of game. But in MMA, there is boxing, but you have to adapt to the game. You know, you have to make your boxing work in MMA because you got takedowns in there, right? You got wrestling in MMA. So you have to adjust your footing, you have to adjust your movement so that the boxing can work. But at the same time, it would be great if you can implement proper boxing techniques while you're striking. You know, your jab, your straight, your hooks, your defense, your offensive, you know, not taking so much damage. I mean, you know, that's part of boxing, just the basics. You see what I'm saying? You know, it really comes down to the basics, you know, knowing the basics, that's basically it. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing much to it. You know, you gotta learn basic punches, basic kicks, basic defensive techniques, offensive. They implement everything into that, around that, you know. So yeah, so there is technique in MMA, and boxing, MMA, you know, the sport, two different sport, but MMA, mixed martial arts, has boxing in there, has kickboxing, has Muay Thai, has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, has wrestling. So you can always sharpen those aspects of the game, you know, each one you can sharpen. Always remember, regardless, MMA, sport, mixed martial arts, even though there are a variety of different striking techniques from ground to stand up, when the fight starts, you start standing up, right? You don't start on your knees. You don't start on your back. You start standing up on your 2 feet. So you have to understand distancing your range between you and your opponent if you want to make your striking effective. You see what I'm saying? If you don't understand that distancing range, you have a problem because you won't be able to set up your takedowns. You won't be able to close the distance properly. So striking is very important to learn, right? You can't just go in there with just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and have no striking at all. You know, and it all depends on who you're fighting to. It all depends on the person you're fighting, right? If you're fighting somebody that doesn't know any striking and you have better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, then yeah, of course. But if you ever meet a guy that's a hell of a striker who can defend takedowns and has a decent ground game, and you're coming in there with just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu alone, then the person with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is gonna have a problem. So that's what I'm saying. You know, the fight starts standing up. So to have proper striking would be helpful. Would be the best thing, and just as well as having a proper ground game. It goes hand in hand.